Drink it in, man.
Deep left side carry on. Picks on the block. At the 5, at the 2, at the 1 to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions.
Drink it in, man.
Get up, Stafford throws. It is end zone. Caught! Oh, baby, what a catch! Kenny Galladay, you're a freak! What a catch! Touchdown, Detroit Lions!
Cornbread! I love the Lions! Say it with me! I love the Lions!
Drink it in, man.
Detroit Koolaid, what is going on, everybody? It's Friday, and we are back. We had a great show on that we dropped on Wednesday. Me and Grifka were talking free agency, draft, some of the news and notes, all types of things. The one and only Grifka has returned. Grifka, we're here to talk Lions again. How are you, sir?
Oh, man, doing good. Knowing spring's right around the corner.
Absolutely, man. Spring's around the corner. The draft's around the corner. Grifka, free agency can start as early as Sunday. That's like 3 or 4 days away. Are you kidding me? Like, what do you got on your brain, Detroit Lions, this week? I mean, talk to the people.
Well, let's put it this way. I got a couple things I want to ask you, because it could somewhere down the road, touch base with the Lions. This isn't directly, but the first thing is, I know you probably saw this, and I know we were talking about him in the draft on prior shows and even before the combine. And Devin White said, because we talked how he could fit with the Lions. We don't think he will, but he might be one of those guys. Lions may take him. They like his speed. But he said he wants number 40. And right now the Lions have, number 40 on the team. Do you think, even not just Lions, but maybe other teams, if that was one of those things, do you think a rookie is, no matter how good he is, where he's drafted, if he kind of spouts off, I want this number, do you think they should automatically kind of give it to him? Or is one of those things that kind of has to be earned, or that guy on the team has to be willing to give it to him? What do you think about that? Some guy just throwing it out there saying, I want number 40. How do you think that looks to an incoming team if somebody on that team already has the number, who's been established, not like, a camp guy, what am I thinking? A practice squad guy, something like that. How do you think that looks to the team?
Grifka, let me ask you this first. Where did you get this? I know I'm demanding number 40. Is this one of those people that call you at 12 midnight and tip you off, or did Devin White call you, or where'd you get this info?
Actually, I read that article, I think a few days ago.
Is this your 27247 Lions website you go to?
Yep, that's one of them.
All right, well, I'm kidding with you. I mean, he might have said this, but I mean, yeah, the kid's probably been wearing 40 his whole life. I mean, it'd be a perfect scenario if he can get it, and I'm sure he has, feelings for that number. But this guy is a confident kid. This guy backed up everything at the combine. I don't mind it. Again, that's kind of the reason I've been touting him all this time, of saying, like, man, if you bring him in and if you could move Jared Davis a little bit, like, Devin White to me is the alpha. I really like Jared Davis's hustle. I do think he's a dog, but I also think that Devin White is more the alpha dog in that group. So I think it's pretty, basically, I would assume he would say that. But, I mean, I think I yelled at you, mentioned that in the previous show, and I kind of said, even if the Lions take him, which I don't think they will now, but I would love it. I mean, he's not coming in and telling Jared Davis, hey, hand me your jersey. Matt Pat's not saying, hand me your jersey. The guy's going to get a different number and be cool with it. I have no issue. And what's funny is he's demanding number 40. And, like, when you watch these guys on tape, him and Jared Davis look absolutely like identical twins, basically from top to bottom. Their build, their speed, their size, their number, everything, the way they play. I mean, it's just crazy how similar they are. So, again, that's why I'm thinking the Lions probably lean against it, but I'd still love it, and I don't see him handing over any jerseys. This kid's going to wear whatever he's got to wear, and he's going to make it a great number. He's going to be a heck of a player in the NFL no matter where he goes.
Okay. I like that. So, but yeah, I know, I hear what you're saying. And,
You agree with me?
Yeah, I agree with you. I
There we
agree
go.
with you. I think it's one of those things though with the NFL. I believe as a rookie, your number has to be earned. If somebody else has it on the team, you just almost kind of suck it up. And you always hear these stories about guys paying other guys. It's like, hey, I'll give you X amount of dollars. I'll throw this amount of money at a charity. Just can I have the number? I mean, if he does that and Jared Davis is more than willing to give it to him, cool. But you're right. I don't think he can just waltz in the locker room and the coach is going to be like, hey, hand over your jersey. Give it to this guy. He's the new kid on the block. So, yeah.
Yeah.
If it's one of the things that definitely has to be earned. So yeah, I just don't think it's just going to be handed to him. So. My next question to you, once again, there's a lot of talk going out there. Once again, for some odd reason, we can talk about this later about this guy. But Kyler Murray, he's shooting up the draft. A lot of people are saying like Arizona's going to take him number 1. Well, they just took Josh Rosen last year. And my first question to you, you think because of this you think Josh Rosen's a bust? Maybe somebody that, he just doesn't fit the new scheme with Cliff Kingsbury out there. And if so, would this be somebody, we were talking about it before, backup quarterback, one of those things where, Matt Castle, right now it seems like the Lions have Matt Castle pegged to be the backup quarterback. Or would this be somebody maybe the Lions might be interested, quarterback of the future type thing? If the Cardinals are willing to trade him, think the Lions may make a run at him to be the quarterback of the future?
Do you want my Grifka answer?
Of course.
No. I think you've pulled the one-word answers before on the podcast. And Grifka, let me spin this another way for you. There is all this hype about Kyler Murray going 1. At first, it was like he's going to go to Jacksonville or Giants. Now everything is saying number 1 to the Cardinals. I'm torn because I'm either like set that that's the case, or I'm like, wow, they have everybody thinking he's going to go 1 and he's not. He's going to sort of slide down more than people would think. I think he's going 1 if I had to put my money on it right now. Yes, I think they'll trade Josh Rosen. I don't love Josh Rosen, but I think he's a good talent. But he's a good talent for like the Redskins or the Dolphins or a team, maybe even like a San Diego Chargers that's kind of got an older, great quarterback that is going to be on his way out, but he could groom for another year and then that's where he's going to go. Like, I don't want a guy like this. Guy does not fit Detroit. He has that cocky attitude. It doesn't fit in this city. I don't think he would be accepted at all. And like you said, he hasn't done anything, but yeah, I think he's out of Arizona. I don't want him anywhere near Detroit. I'm rolling with Matt Stafford, man. And, all this other talk about QBs and the Lions, I think is a non-issue right now. And I think we'll know in the next 2 years if it needs to be an issue or if it's like, man, I'm so glad we didn't deal with a quarterback because Matt Stafford is balling and he's got another 2 to 5 years left. That's my opinion.
Okay. You know how I felt about Josh Rosen last year. I always thought he would be a bust. I don't know if he's the quarterback that makes guys around him better. And I don't know if he's one of those guys that you need to put talent around him, a lot of talent around him for him to succeed. I always thought he was one of those guys that if he was going to be any good in the pros, he would have to have a lot of studs around him, playmakers every position for him to excel. I don't think he's going to be like the guy that would raise up the play of the wide receivers, tight ends, running backs, that guy. So if the Lions were going to be like, okay, maybe we want this guy in the future, a couple of years, when it's okay, because once again, he'd still be under that rookie contract, and he could fit into the salary cap with what Matt Stafford's getting in the next couple of years. So if it's one of those things like, okay, he learns under Stafford for the next couple of years, and then when Stafford's number's a little more salary cap friendly, if we got rid of him, we could throw Josh Rosen in there. I still wouldn't want him either because once again, I just have this feeling that he's not going to be that guy. I just don't think he's not the rising tide that raises everybody else. I think he's just going to be an average quarterback, and that's my personal opinion. So I'd stay away from him as well.
Yep.
My next question for you, this is just in football in general. We saw Le'Veon Bell last year. He got franchise tag, and he sat out the whole year. And DeMarcus Lawrence this year's, he's been franchised by the Cowboys again, and he said he wasn't going to sign it this year. So he's threatening to sit out the year. Now, you think this is going to become a trend? And if so, do you think this is good or bad for the NFL?
Well, again, let me spin it forward, Lions. I know we're kind of talking NFL type topics here, but everybody acts like the franchise tag is so horrible. I remember I was driving home here recently, and I heard a podcast where Lomas Brown came on. He's like, "Oh man, I'm still mad about you guys franchising me." And I'm like, back in the day, that was still like the most money out of any position. Okay, it's a 1-year deal, but you seem to do fine, Lomas. You made probably the most money for an offensive tackle. You just had to make it for 2 or 3 years on 1 year rather than getting the long-term contract. So I don't get the whole issue with it. Like if somebody was going to pay me $20 million to play 1 year, I mean, you pretty much sign it. I mean, I haven't seen many people like break their leg or have a Alex Smith injury and then lose out on hundreds of millions of dollars based on this franchise tag. So I don't know. I like the guys that just sort of sign it, go prove themselves, and then I think the NFL seems to reward people that play really well under whatever deal they are, and if they play great under their current deal, whether it be a rookie, a franchise tag, whatever, they get rewarded. So I think you see that with the Lions. They franchise people when they have to, but if you come in as a rookie, you ball out, they pay you big and they keep you here. And it's sort of as simple as that. So yeah, I'm kind of disgusted with, I'm not going to sign it, or, hey, I'm going to sit out. Hey man, somebody give me $20 million. I know it's easy to say from our seat, but I'd go play for that and prove that you're worth 100 over the next 5 years rather than sit out and try to play your leverage that way. But like you say, everybody has their own way, but glad the Lions aren't in that situation. Glad we don't have to franchise anybody this year, and our salary cap's looking great, so I'm happy about it.
Yeah, just to kind of finish this topic, I mean, as for the NFL, I guess the biggest thing would be like if this becomes a trend where guys like start to like sit out year after year. I mean, the NFL, there's a lot of players and a lot of teams, but you're missing one of your superstars. I mean, one of your bona fide superstars. If guys are like, well, I'm not going to sign this, they know they're good, and it's just the NFL as a whole. They're losing out on one of their superstars. I mean, Le'Veon Bell, great running back, and it's just one of those years where Pittsburgh didn't have him, and the NFL as a whole missed out on a great player. So if this starts to come where 1-2 guys a year is like, well, you do it, I'm not going to sign it. The NFL as a whole is losing out on a great player for a year. So that's just kind of the way I look at it. I don't think it's a good thing. And just to tag along with you, it's just like you're getting a lot of money, play 1 year. I mean, okay, just do it. So let's do this. Like I said, those are just kind of general NFL topics that might hit the Lions, sooner or later. But I got a few other ones here. Just want to go. This one just totally deals with the Lions here. That let's talk about here for a few minutes. At the Combine, Kyler Murray interviewed with the Lions. Now, once again, he interviewed with a lot of teams. But is this one of those things that, once again, the Lions are just kind of keeping their door, the options open if he falls to them? Do you think this was just kind of for show that Kyler Murray's out there? He's getting a lot of hype, so let's get in on this. Let's interview him too. If he falls to us, see how he is. Or do you just think this was one of those things, just the general interest in this guy that it's like, yeah, if he falls to us, maybe we will take him. So, or do you think this was just kind of for show, as like, okay, he's hyped, we want to get in on it too?
Well, Griffin, real quick, shout out to Carson Anderson. I always like kind of listen to those guys. And they were kind of talking about this, and Gator was he always is like leaning towards kind of the meat and potatoes, the good football players, but this year he's kind of on board with, if Kyler Murray's there, that's who he would take. I think it's an interesting opinion by him, but I'm split on this Kyler Murray guy. I think he's either going to be one of the most incredible talents we've ever seen, or I'm starting to think he might be one of the most, like, what's the word I'm looking for? I think he has like an attitude and a sense about him. Like, I don't know that people are going to follow him, or he might rub some people the wrong way and not be, this galvanizing type player at the quarterback position. So I don't think he fits Detroit. I don't think our offense is going to run the way that, I mean, he needs to be an open spread, a team that like is kind of at the bottom of the barrel and just needs to sell jerseys and that excitement. I mean, we don't need any of that. The best answer I heard, and this was kind of on another show, but I also kind of thought about it too. I mean, yeah, they kind of brought him in. Again, I don't know why they're doing these fake smoke screens when nobody really thinks you're going to take a guy like that. But I think they brought him in is because the Lions play the Cardinals, and if the Cardinals take him, they at least got to kind of pick his brain, know what he's about, maybe know what frustrates him, know what he thinks he's good at. And they also play the Giants, and the Lions talk to Haskins too. So I think they're trying to get any little edge they can, and I respect them for that. But otherwise, it also seems sort of like a wasted interview. Like you only get, I think it's 60 or however many of those. So, you know, if you're not gaining a bunch of knowledge, I would say go interview a late corner or a late outside linebacker that might be more worth it than talking to these guys where I think they have no interest in drafting them. They just sort of want to see and also sort of put the feelers out like we might do it, but one, it's not going to happen. And man, if they took Kyler Murray at 8, I'd be upset, Grifka. I'd be real upset.
Yeah, I would be also. When we come to the major draft, if we want to break down guys, I'll tell you how I really think about this guy. But I think it was just one of those interviews, like you said. You know, they play the Cardinals. If the Cardinals take him, they have maybe, like you said, an idea of what makes him tick. Because I personally don't think there's an interest in him based on what the offense they run, based on knowing the what Matt Pat's looking to do. Like you said, he's more of a open, use his feet type of guy where I don't think that's what the Lions are looking to run. So I think, like you said, it was just try to pick his brain. If they end up playing him, they kind of maybe can like throw some defense schemes, get him off his game, stuff like that. So I don't think there's any interest in taking this guy though. Next quick question. I just want to hear what you think about this. After our Wednesday show, I actually seen this article. There's actually a little printout that said the Detroit Lions are the favorite to sign Landon Collins. Does that make you happy? That the world out there believes that the Lions are going to get Landon Collins? And I know we talked about this, but is this something that you're happy to see, that the world, the NFL world out there thinks that the Detroit Lions are going to get Landon Collins?
Grifka, for those that didn't hear it, yes, we talked all about this on the Wednesday show, but let me both be quick, but let me tell the people again. We are the Vegas odds to land this guy. So what that tells me is that a lot of the people in the NFL and Vegas and in the fan base, other than Grifka, aren't as negative about our team being able to bring in a top talent like this. They aren't really worried about that. Oh, we don't want to pay anybody. I think the Lions are willing to pay people that they value and they think are a great fit, that are young, and that are just fierce competitors. That's what I think this guy is. I'm super pumped to see all the positivity and all the, everybody saying this is our target, this is our guy. And man, if you're talking to me right now, on Friday here, like, I think this is going to be their target. I think when he got cut loose from the Giants, Matt, Pat, Bob Quinn, they got with the players on the team and said, hey, go tell this guy this is a good place to be. Go recruit this guy, and then come that first day of free agency, like, we're going to make a push for him. Now, again, they may not get him, but I think we're going to be on his real short list. I think Landon Collins, Grifka, is coming to the D, and I'm going to be super pumped about it. Put him in that 21, man. I would absolutely love it. He is a beast.
Okay. I was just really wondering how you're feeling about that. So that's one of those things, when we're done at practice, you're going to go get that Landon. You're going to find a Landon Collins jersey and have him sign it? See if you can get him sign it?
I might, man. I'm sure I have an Amir jersey in the closet. I can rip the nameplate off and make it a Collins because, yeah, man, he would be like one of my. I've always I gravitated to Glover when he came here. I do like the safeties, skill players, things like that. And man, this guy's so grimy. I would just love him.
Okay. Then another thing I did see was that the Detroit Lions were going to they're looking to get a visit from Dwayne Allen, the tight end. Now, we all spoke about the struggles the Lions had at tight end last year. What do you think about this guy? I believe he was going to visit the Lions and also the Bills. what are you thinking about this guy?
Who did you say again? Give it to me one more time.
Dwayne Allen, tight end. I believe,
Oh, yeah.
he's been with a few different teams.
Yeah, here's my thing on Dwayne Allen. So, like, I remember when he was coming out of the draft, like, there was a lot of buzz. I think he went, man, I don't have it. I almost want to say he was a first or second round pick. You know, maybe he fell into third. I can't remember. But I remember him being like a guy, like, oh, man, you could bring this guy in. He can block. He can catch. You know, that's how they always sell tight ends. It's like, he can do it all. And he went to Indy, and, like, he was not good. I mean, he didn't live up to the hype, didn't do whatever. Then he got shipped to the Patriots, and of course they sort of found ways to use him. But I mean, he never really lived up to his draft status, never really made plays. I think he's just set now that he's sort of a blocking, more physical type tight end that you can scheme up either touchdowns or little routes for him. But I mean, I don't love him, but based on what's out there, and if he came at the right price, I mean, I think he could be better than what we had last year, no doubt about it. But, you know, I want to say his age is probably up in the upper 20s now as well. I mean, I'm not really stoked, as you would say, with this guy, but I think he'd be better than what we have. And, I mean, I don't mind him as a football player. He's just never really done anything to warrant being a big target or something to get excited about.
Yeah, get the bellow, because I'm with you on that. It's like when you said better than what we had, that's exactly when I read that. I'm like, well, I guess it's better than what we had. You know, that's exactly what I was thinking. He's sort of at least a little bit of a name. I mean, obviously not a superstar, and more people have heard of him than what the Lions signed last year with Luke Wilson and Levine Toilolo. But even though we might have found something with Levine Toilolo, he's like you said, I don't think he's really done anything. Well, I'm sitting here, I looked it up. He was actually drafted in the third round by the Colts. So, still, though, I mean, third round, I don't think he's really done anything that, impressive I mean, if this is their number one target, at tight end, I mean, maybe it's one of those things where, like you said, they bring him in and he teaches somebody they draft or something. So I don't know, but I wasn't like, all, to use my word, stoked that this was the guy that they were looking at. So next question for you. I saw that Kerry Hyder was not tendered by the Lions. Does that surprise? I mean, obviously it doesn't really surprise us, but I almost kind of feel bad for the guy. He had such a great year, and I remember me and you talked about this going into the next year. It's like, yeah, sure, if you could do something, then he got injured and was out all year, and we kind of hoped for him last year, saying, man, if he can come back and do something, but it just never seemed to pan out. So I kind of feel for the guy, so because it seemed like the injury really derailed his career. Now I'm not saying he was on his way to Canton or anything like that, but he could have put something, a little career together. Does I don't think this is a big loss, but are you sad to see him go? I mean, I know you're probably not too worried about him. You wish him well, but do you think if his injury didn't happen, do you think he could have been a little something for Detroit?
Well, I mean, again, Kerry Hyder's not a guy he's a depth player at this point. He was really good for the Lions, and then when the new regime came in, he was basically null and void. So, they just didn't have a role for him, didn't want to use him, whatever the case may be. I mean, we did do the Koolaid rewinds, and when Kerry Hyder was in late in the season, I felt like he was still getting rushes and had a few sacks, had a few plays. So I think in the right scheme and the right fit, he can still be a decent, depth NFL player, but it's not going to be here in Detroit. I mean, just not a fit, not working out. So I hope he catches on somewhere and does well. But nope, I'm moving on from Kerry Hyder, Grifka.
Okay. And then I also read this one. I believe it was a line that kind of made me laugh because we always joke about him. It's my boy Zach Zenner, and they said. I was reading this article, and it said the way he played near the end of the year, he might have priced himself out of Detroit, that there may be a market for him, that somebody's more than willing to give him a little more cash than the Lions. Now, once again, this was one of the guys, and we always kind of thought he was just kind of another guy, but he ran hard late in the year. He showed up the last few weeks. Now, is this somebody? Do you think there's an actual market for this guy that other teams are going to like kind of bid against? Other teams for Zach Zenner, or do you think he's just one of those things where the line's like, "Hey, we like you. You think you ran hard." They might end up, paying him a little bit. I mean, would you? Would you be sad to see him go, or do you think there's a market for this guy, or is this kind of like, Zach Zenner's a nice little player, but yeah, so what? See you later.
Well, Grifka, me and the people know that you love him. Why do you love Zach Zenner again?
Double initials, man.
I think I brought this up before. I mean, Zach Zenner, he's smart, he's physical, he's dependable, but he's just not a top echelon NFL type running back. I kind of hope he stays with the team, but I hope that we can fit him in at the fourth type running back behind, carry on another addition, Theo. But I think the time is coming where he's just going to say, hey, I had a couple years in the NFL. I made a little money, going to go be a doctor. And we'll see. We'll see if that's this year or not. But I think that, I appreciate what he's done when he's been in there. He has produced when he's been in there, which is always a good thing. Anytime you get your number called and you're out there and you produce, that's a good trait to have as an NFL player, and he's done well there. So going into 2019, I do hope he's on the team. I just hope he's slotted right, and I hope that they can get a good contract with him for the next year or two, and then I think he'll ride off in the sunset.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about him. If it's one of those things like if another team wants to pay him more, see you later. I think he's easily replaceable. He's nice. He runs hard, but I think guys like Zach Zenner are kind of a dime a dozen. So if somebody wants to pay him a little more, good luck to you. See you someday. Being a surgeon. So good. Good for him. My last one I wanted to talk to you. I came across this stat, and it kind of like, it kind of opened my eyes a little bit. Now, we all know that the run defense improved with Snacks Harrison on the team, but this stat that he actually led the Lions in run stops, and he only played for the team 10 games. So he was only there for a little more than half the season in 10 games, and he led the team in run stops. Now, my question to you is, does that speak more towards him, or does that speak towards the talent that was on the team prior to him? It's just kind of like, wow, that's sad that he led the team in only 10 games, where guys played the full year and they couldn't, get more tackles than him. So how does that speak toward just how great a player he is, or the talent that couldn't, match him in 16 games?
Grifka, we talk about it almost every show, and I know you're trying to tee up these questions, but I mean, it's like when we're doing the rewinds. Like every time we watch Carry On, like he appears to be a good NFL running back. He's got juice. He's good. I mean, we were talking about Snacks Harrison. Like he came in here for a 5th rounder. Everybody knew that was a great value when they did it. He came in here. He produced from day one. He was a physical presence. He stopped the run. Yeah, he made all these plays. He put up these stats. I mean, he's been a good football player in the NFL. So I think he's just living up to what he has been. And I love it. I mean, every show next year, I think we'll be saying, man, Snacks Harrison's a beast in the middle. Man, look at him making plays. Wow, look at him highly ranked on PFF. I mean, that's just what this guy does, and we're just happy he's in Detroit. And some people kind of don't make a big deal like, yeah, it was a good move, but no, man, we might look back at this move in a couple of years and say, wow, when they made that move and then they added a few more pieces the following year, that totally changed our defense for the next handful of years. I mean, I think that's how impactful this guy is.
Yeah, that it just tells you. To me, it just tells you what little talent was at defensive tackle on this team, where he was able to come in and lead the team in run stops with only playing 10 games. It tells you how much he's just helped this defense improve. And like you said, every week, doing the games, doing the rewinds, and coming up in the next year, just how well a fit this guy is. And it was, pretty much a coup getting him from the Giants for what the Lions gave up. So very impressed with him. So Well, that's all I have on this one. I mean, we've been going here a little bit, talked about a few things, and I know we have free agency coming up here pretty soon where we'll really know what the Lions are looking to do. We can only speculate right now. I got nothing else really, Derek. You got anything you want to chat about before we get out of here?
Man, Grifka, there's just so much about to go on. I think you're right that over the last couple shows, we've hit on some things. I know that people are just itching, though, for draft talk. They're itching for who the heck are the Lions going to go out and get in free agency. I think we need to sort of close up this show. Next week, we need to come back, and free agency would just be either getting going. The official day, is I want to say the 13th, kind of midday there. I definitely think next week we're going to have to dive into those free agents. So, Grifka, go do your homework. Go learn a couple names. If you want, I'll send you an email, give you a little help with a few updates. But what we need to do is build some lists for the people of, like, if me and you were the GMs, who would we be looking at? Who fits this team? And who can we reasonably get with our money based on kind of what we know in the NFL? And, hey, we only have 40 million to play with. What kind of pool of 3, 5, 6 players could we get with that type of money that's going to really help change this team? So you up to that task next week that we can give the people a couple real good free agent shows as well as some more draft talk?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, though, it's just one of those things where we still got a little bit of time before draft, so we can, we can do that. But yeah, let's do a little free agency right now because we know what they're going to get. That way it'll help us with the draft. So yeah, let's kind of next few shows, let's do a lot of free agency talk.
All right. Sounds like a plan, man. So thank you again, everybody. We really love doing the show. You guys have been supporting the show. It's growing. We continue to just have a blast doing it. And just looking forward to this type of year. I mean, this is the time where they build the core of the team. They add to what they currently have. The NFL is a tough business, man. Everybody is super competitive, trying to add pieces, trying to maneuver their way around the draft board and all that type of stuff. And we just hope between Bobby Quinn and Matt Pat that they're able to really be aggressive this offseason. The last couple, they've seemed to sort of add depth. I think this is the offseason along with next year where they really need to add a couple blue chippers, add a couple game changers, and a couple people that can get this team not only back into the playoff mix, but over that hump as well. So, Grifko, we're going to talk all about it. We'll break down positions. We'll break down actual more player names, salaries that we think guys might get, all that type of stuff. And we'll do that right here next week on the Detroit Koolaid cast. So for me and for Grifka. Oh, wait. Grifka, you got anything else for the people?
Nope.
Got to get that in. We know there's people out there that absolutely love that. So, Grifka, thank you so much. We'll be right back here next week for all you guys right here on the Detroit Koolaid cast. Take care, everybody. Have an awesome, awesome weekend.
Pack the bag, start the plane. This game is over. It is over. What a comeback by the Lions.
Drink it in, man.